of Instagram and YouTube. We are live here simultaneously. Again, this is awesome. Okay, let's jump right into this here. So right now we have 3 questions that came in. By the way, last live of 2023. Next week, 2024. I hope everyone has a great new year. So, all right, first question here. Steps if you're a landlord looking to lease out your property. Okay, so you have 2 options. You can either do this on your own, post on things like Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, that kind of stuff, or you can hire a realtor to help you navigate the process as well. And realtors that do work with clients looking to lease, like myself, I do work with a good amount of landlords, and there's a process that we try to stick to, of course. But in a nutshell, there's a few things that you're going to definitely want to do before putting your property up on the market. First one is a super deep clean. So if you have a tenant changeover, get that place all cleaned up, maybe fresh paint, touch up all the little things that need to get touched up. Because you got to remember that people are going to be coming through the property, envisioning themselves living there. So if it looks amazing, definitely going to help when it comes to getting people in, getting traffic, and getting a great offer on the property. You're going to want professional photos. I can't stress that one enough. Definitely get some professional photos. They're not crazily expensive. And if you are working with a realtor, typically they will take care of that, or I guess they should anyway. Next one, virtual staging. That's something I always do for my lease listings. If, for example, the property is vacant, virtual staging helps to envision the property. You want to make sure that it does look somewhat real. Some of the virtual stuff does look very virtual. So that's a big piece. Professional cleaning also super important. You can either do that before people start seeing the property, but I do recommend getting it done before showing start, because then keep in mind, as people go through, they're going to want to envision themselves in the property. Accurate pricing, super important. So know the comps in the area. I do find sites like Zumper are not very accurate. Stuff that I've seen posts on there, and you get the recommended price of like $2,200, but really the property is worth $3,000 or $3,500. Just as an example, of course. And it's going to sound biased coming from a realtor, but I do think MLS is your best bet. And always keep in mind that there are agents, especially in a city like Toronto, that work with tenants, and they work with qualified tenants to try to find them a property. So if the agents are able to navigate the showings and bring the tenants through and create a good offer for you, that could be to your benefit as a landlord. So just some things to consider. The cost typically, it could be different, but I would say most often the cost would be 1 month's rent to the landlord, and that's usually divided up between the listing agent and the cooperating agent. Next question, how do you choose a realtor? Oh, that's a great question. I love this question. So I think right off the bat, I do think you should interview more than one agent, unless you've come to that decision that you do want to work with them before meeting them. But in general, you can interview a couple agents and see which one you get a good vibe from, or which one you have good connection with. I do think that it's important to see, one, how responsive they are. 2, are they actually transacting and working in the market? And especially as things have been moving forward throughout 2023 and into 2024, it's going to be super important to work with agents that are active in the market and that know exactly what's happening on the ground level. So they're always on top of everything that's going on, especially as things change, and the outlook could change on a week-to-week basis, at least here in Toronto for sure. And then if you're working with a team, ask if you're working with the person that you're interviewing with or with a team member, a member that's on the team. So know who you're going to be working with going on showings. And then ask what sets them apart. How many transactions have they done this year? Are they working with buyers? Are they working with sellers? Are they working with leases? And obviously, depending on your specific needs, which ones would work or pertain to you. And then ask if they have a plan or a system. Like, do they have something that is a proven plan? They've executed this many times. They know, for example, the steps to fulfill conditions. So if you need to get a home inspector, do they know home inspectors that they can provide 2 or 3 options that are readily available? We do have to provide 3. So can they provide 3 options that are readily available to get in there in a prompt amount of time to make sure you can get an inspection done before the condition period? Make sure that they'll ask you the questions needed to be asked. And sometimes they're tough questions, but it's important that, for example, if if you are getting pre-approved for a mortgage. Have you been pre-approved? What does that look like? How do we keep you inside your budget? That kind of stuff. Super important questions. They're not easy to ask, but it definitely helps when navigating and looking for properties. And you want to ask those questions at the get-go so that you're not in a situation where you love a property, but it might be outside of the budget. So those are the things that are really important, I believe. And this definitely isn't a decision to take lightly. This is potentially your first purchase, or it could be a repeat purchase or an investment. And it doesn't matter, really. It's definitely not something to take lightly. Work with someone who you know and trust, and that will help you get the results that you are looking for. It's an individual thing. So this is about you, not about the realtor. Always keep that in mind. Third question, should I go directly to seller agent to purchase a property? Will it save me money? Okay, well, this is a great question. And we do have some new rules that came in on TRREB. So this actually is even different now as of December 1st, 2023. So the new rule is that if there's an agent representing, for example, the seller, then they don't represent you as the buyer, and they actually have a fiduciary duty to the seller. So if you go into the property and want to put an offer in, you have to decide if either you are represented by that agent, which they're already representing the seller. So there's a conflict there, or there could be a multiple representation situation, which is, I mean, it does happen, and that's it works if all parties are okay with it, of course. But keep in mind that generally when you're representing the seller, it's very hard to also represent the buyer, because I think it goes without saying, but you represent the seller. So if you're someone coming in and trying to put an offer in on a property, and you want to be self-represented, for example, then in that situation, you would go in and you could have a lawyer write an offer for you, or you could have, I think that's the only option really based on TRREB if you are self-represented, as far as I know. So that could change, and it might change over the future. But keep in mind that the seller agent has a fiduciary duty to the seller, and they can only show the property or do what's in the best interest of the seller when it comes to selling the property. So you want to be careful that if you are just going directly to the listing agent to try to get a better price, quote unquote, always keep in mind that they are representing the seller, and that's where the relationship has been built, and the seller does owe that fiduciary duty the seller agent owes that fiduciary duty to the seller, not to the buyer that comes in off, for example, realtor.ca to purchase the property. So it's something just to, keep in mind if you are going directly to the seller to try to get a deal. You want to make sure that as a buyer, you do have representation as well, to know the ins and outs of the process, know what kind of conditions you might want to put in, or any kind of clauses or closing dates or any of that kind of stuff. Just keep that in mind, navigating moving forward. So the seller's agent does represent the seller. Always remember that when trying to go directly to the seller agent. So that's it. That's your live Q&A, last one of 2023. Holy, it feels like the year flew by. Wish everybody a happy new year, happy 2024, and all the best in the new year. And if you have any questions or anything, send them in. I love doing these, and we'll keep these going through the new year. And also, if you want to book in a call, first link in the description down below. Happy to have a chat. So that's it. Michael Ouzas, thanks for watching.